The Knight and Knave of Swords is then one of the major fantasy volumes of this decade, the last book in what has become the most important contemporary heroic fantasy series. This is the great original, which Michael Moorcock emulated in his Elric series, which Roger Zelazny emulated in his Amber series. Leiber writes with grace and wit, verve and style. He invented the name by which this kind of fiction has been marketed for more than 2 decades, sword and sorcery fiction. Leiber's hordes of fans have been waiting for years for a volume to complete this series. Now they have it. The Knight and Knave of Swords. Hello and welcome to Liam's Lyceum. I'm your host Liam, aka Hambar, and today I'll be doing a spoiler-free review of Fritz Leiber's The Knight and Knave of Swords. The Knight and Knave of Swords is a 1988 novel. It is the 7th and final of the Lankhmar books, or the Fafhrd and Grey Mouser saga. There are 4 stories making up this one. Just real quick, they are Sea Magic, which is published originally in 1977 in December, an issue of Dragon magazine. We have The Mare She in 1978, Heroes and Horrors, The Curse of Smalls and the Stars, which was in Heroic Visions of 1983. And then The Mouser Goes Below is a novel published in 2 parts originally, the first in Whispers number 23 in 1987, and the second in Terry's Universe of 1988. In the first story, Fafhrd is recovering from the events of the end of Swords and Ice Magic when a sea enchantress tries to steal Salthaven's treasures. The second story is Mouser's complement to the first. Mouser is at sea and has to face the seductress enchantress. We see a connection to Simorgia, which is important in the Sunken Land from Swords Against Death. I think this one is a novelette length, technically. The third story involves the gods, like Swords and Ice Magic, particularly curses on the twain that are hard to distinguish between the eccentricities of old men. This one has some odd magic you normally that you kind of normally find in Nawan, and the personification of death is freaking cool, in my opinion, and this one is a novella. The fourth, again, is a whole novel. The Mouser Goes Below makes me think of Leiber's friend, who created the twain, actually, Harry Otto Fisher, rather, who passed away in 1986, before this story was written. So this, the Mouser, well, by the way, Fisher is the equivalent of Mouser, while Fafhrd is Leiber himself. So the Mouser in this has some supernatural means, has sunk below ground, and Fafhrd plans to rescue him. It becomes different and a lustful sort of heaven for the characters. It's basically erotica, to be completely honest. Overall, I felt this book was too sexual. Leiber's always explored sex, but it's just kind of got grossly out of hand here, especially with rape, while, being unfaithful even. So it's not all bad. Leiber is one of the best of the 20th century. And so even in his dotage, he still showcases some of that old skill. This did release about 4 years before Leiber's death. And, he is still rather progressive. So it's honestly interesting to see the heroes grow old and even have children. It's not typical, I feel like, especially of your sword and sorcery protagonists. Now, I did just want to take a moment to say that even though it has its bad parts, it is Fritz Leiber. And there's a quote even on the back of the first edition here by Harlan Ellison. It says, I quote, "Even though the world continues to reel with war, hunger, greed, and ineptitude, it remains the best of all worlds because Fritz Leiber continues to write. After too long a wait, the master storyteller of us all returns with a huge anecdotal adventure in the magic-drenched lives of Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser. Glowing imagination melds with gorgeous language to make this one of Leiber's very best, which is a better best than this poor world usually has to offer. Leiber's back. Rejoice." And then we have a quote from Roger Zelazny, which says, "It's all Fritz Leiber's fault. If he weren't such a deadly fine fantasist, I wouldn't be stopping everything to read his tales. And if he weren't such a master, I wouldn't occasionally look out the window and wish he'd interrupt my routine again, as he doesn't do it often enough. The Knight and Knave of Swords came into my life and took over an otherwise fully programmed afternoon. I stop everything when a new Fafhrd and Grey Mouser story comes into my hands." And I don't know. It's very sad, to be honest. Like, I put off reading this one for a little bit because I heard it was the worst one, but also because I knew once I finished it that would be it. That is the end of the Twain, in a sense. But the nice thing is I can go back and I can reread all the tales again. And it is sad. It is a sad world, actually, that Harlan Ellison quote, because Fritz Leiber isn't releasing any more things. Leiber's been dead for like 30 years, so it is a sad world. But it's a better world because we have Leiber's writing, and especially we have the stories of the Twain, Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser. It's been Liam Lyceum. I'll catch you next time.